Hello, African American Association executives, now the Black Association executives, based on a popular vote. I will be traveling to London for a conference, and actually, this conference is the Black Women in Asset Management. Jackie is actually on the Slack channel with us. So, hey, Jackie, if you're seeing this video. And my flight actually got pushed up to get in the way of our call this evening. So I probably won't be able to join you unless the flight is delayed. If so, I will do my best to get on because I actually miss you guys. And a month is a long time. And, you know, I love to have these experiences where we get to know each other a little bit. I'm going to run through some of the agenda, my thoughts on the agenda, so that you all can move forward without delay, because there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up, and I want us to still continue to make progress. I would also like to I'm introducing Zion and Rajanique. Zion is one of my team members from Leverage, but also has participated with me on a bunch of other projects. He's a co-founder of Community Policing Strategies, but he knows where everything is a fellow IO, and has done actually the analysis on some of the feedback documents that we took. So he knows where everything is in the BGCC drive and can help you navigate or pull documents up if you need to. I believe that Rajnique might also be available for the call and is also familiar with the drive if you need to pull any documents up, or she can also, I think, approve access requests if you need access to documents or anything like that. Okay, so going through the agenda, starting with item 1, name change. So from the first conversation, we talked a lot about like what are the terms that resonate with people, right? And we created this vision tree, and the vision tree was basically just all Black. So it started to make sense to actually just change the name of the group, right? Because it felt like the members were more affiliated with the term Black than they were affiliated with the term African American for a number of different reasons, like we talked about, attracting a larger part of the, a larger demographic within the diaspora, as well as maybe the term Black being more modern, whatever. So I put that to a vote in our spreadsheet document, and let me open up the results of that. Again, this is a document that Zion can pull up for you, but that vote is in columns E through F of sheet 1, and I created a tabulation at the bottom, and so we're at 22-1 at a vote for changing the name. I have, let's see, there's another comment in here that I'm just seeing. Oh, from Mariama. Welcome, Mariama. It's so wonderful to see your feedback, and welcome to the group. Okay. So that is item 1 on the agenda. Item 2, I want to talk about grouping folks into subcommittees, because we have a lot of different projects, right, as an entity that is starting up, that we want to be able to take on and move forward at the same time. And I think that it'll be easier to do that if we have leaders of different subcommittees or different initiatives that can push that initiative forward outside of our monthly calls. One of the things that I see that I left off was like some kind of a social committee. I know that there were a lot of conversations around just having like a social hour. So I think that somehow that got left off of the agenda. But if there's anyone who wants to raise their hand to actually start and lead a social committee, I think that that's a great idea too, because that is also a lot of the feedback from our original document our vision tree as well as our survey talked about just like social events and networking. Okay, the other thing I did was reach out to some folks who might be interested in leading a subcommittee. If you, this note is for Terry, right? Because Terry was like, what? I don't know what we're talking about. I think that having just a point person as a lead for any committee is really helpful. If you are not the person who feels like you can bring the whole thing home, it's not a problem. But if you can still recruit people for your committee, maybe you can recruit somebody who has a little bit more expertise in the space, and together, you can start to bring projects home. I found that committees of around 4 or 5 can be particularly effective. If you want to make your committee larger, it's all good. If you want to make your committee smaller, that's all good too. However you want to do it is all good. Starting with the project charter committee. One of the first things that we have to do as a new group is just have a guiding document. Some people will refer to that as a project charter. Some people will refer to that as in our previous group, I've referred to it sort of as just a guiding document. It's got your mission statement, your vision statement, a couple of high level goals and objectives with some long-term stuff in there, some short-term stuff in there, just to get the organization started, just to get us started so that we have something for the whole group to look at and sort of fit themselves within. And then so that we also have something to show new members who are coming up. I think that this will be sort of particularly helpful. For instance, like we've gotten a couple of messages on the chat from Brother Roberto, and he's like, isn't the goal of this group supposed to be X? And so I think it would be helpful if we had a document that we could say, here are the goals of this group. This is what, the intention of this group is. And so that people could just be oriented. Okay, so I asked Myra if she would like to lead that committee. Myra, if you're there, I know that you are, or at least I suspected that you might be willing and capable of leading a project charter committee to create a guiding document for us. Please do feel free or welcome to rename that committee. Please do feel free or welcome to create a description for that committee that is about 4 or 5 sentences that just talks about what the committee is about and what you all plan to do. This committee can be long-term or short-term. In my mind, a project charter committee only exists to create the project charter. And then once we've done that, maybe you go on to do something else. I don't know. But we do need some kind of a guiding document in order to provide some clarity in order to get us started. So I appreciate you being able to get us started there. The next one, the elections committee. Terry, I asked you if you could lead that committee. And maybe there are some other folks who have experience with elections who can join Terry on that committee. What I have in mind is just that we right now are just sort of an organic group that has grown together. We've got a lot of support from ASAE membership like Amy and Wanda. Within our group, we have a lot of folks who have ideas. We have a lot of folks who want to participate, want to get involved. I think that we need to have some formal leaders, at least say a president, a vice president, a secretary, and a treasurer, at the very least. Now, I'm going to go back to my project charter committee and say that maybe there will be a different structure. I don't know. But I think that if we could identify some leadership and have a formal voting in of that leadership and provide a little bit more clarity there, that will be super helpful. So I'm looking to the elections committee to support that work. Please feel free to create a small description for your committee that is about 4 to 5 sentences long. Please feel free to rename your committee. Please feel free to reach out to other members of folks on the Collaborate as well as on Slack to to talk about your committee and recruit other possible members. Okay, membership and recruitment. I've got Kia and Kelly listed for that committee. Again, feel free to recruit other members for that committee. Feel free to create structure within your subcommittee. Please feel free to create a small description for your committee. The membership and recruitment committee, in my mind, was responsible for just doing outreach. I know that in our first call, we had a lot of folks who were just like, I feel so blessed and so thankful to be able to have found this space as my home. And so, I think it feels as though it is our responsibility to make sure that if there are other people out there who need a home, who look like us at ASAE, that we can find them and pull them in. So I'm hoping that the membership and recruitment committee can do that. I'm also hoping that the membership and recruitment committee can be responsible, like for general orientation and onboarding, introducing new members to leadership, whoever our future leadership will be, making sure that they can get oriented in the space if they need to have access to surveys or they need to have access to previous documents or recordings or what have you. Just sort of all of that, like new member kind of stuff. If you have any other thoughts for what a membership and recruitment committee might be, please do incorporate that as well. If you think that those two responsibilities are completely separate and you want to separate them out, that's also super dope. If you want to, one of the other ideas I think too, that I think was from Kelly, was about separating us into different regions, right? So that we can start to identify local meetups and stuff like that. So I created some sections on the Slack channel so that people can join the Slack channel and identify their region, so that you can find other members who might be in your area so that you can network locally. Awesome. Next, Kenji, I know that you want to do this pipeline project. So I pegged you for an events committee. I don't know if you only want to be responsible for conference, like events at conference, or really only want to work with like this very specific pipeline project that you've been talking about. But I know that you want to lead an initiative. So take a committee. Please feel free to rename that committee. Feel free to create a small description for your committee so that people know what it is and know what you're trying to do. Feel free to recruit as many members as you'd like to, or not. You can also just, pull it together by yourself. However you want to do it, feel free to grow and shape your initiative however you'd like to. I'd like to recruit some folks for digital reach. We live in a digital world. ASAE is national, so our face-to-face meetups are going to be fewer and farther in between than our digital outreach. So, if you want to, for instance, help out with the Slack channel, help with Collaborate, maybe our digital committee will also be doing some of our reach on LinkedIn. Maybe there will be a blend between like digital and digital marketing. I don't know, but if there's anybody who is techie and likes to, would like to support some of our digital stuff, please do help us form a digital subcommittee so that we can increase our digital footprint. And then a couple of people mentioned a CAE study group, which I think was an amazing idea. I joined. I was trying to find a study group myself and kind of found that they were few and far in between. I don't know what that was about, but I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just join this group. I ended up joining a group in Dallas, I think. For the most part, the study groups that I saw were all charging a fee that was anywhere between $150 and $250. we can create a study group that is exclusive for for African American or for Black for our members, or maybe we can create just a general ongoing rolling study group that ends up being a source of revenue for our group. I don't know, but I think that it is a great idea to form a study group. So I think that comment comes from Bettina. Please forgive me because we haven't met and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. But if you'd like to lead that subcommittee to formulate our ideas around how we want to manage our CAE study group, please feel free and welcome to do that. Please feel free and welcome to create a committee, to rename that committee, create a short description for that committee. Something popped up in my feed called the ASAE Inclusion Summit. Forgive me because I haven't gotten a chance to get with Amy. I haven't gotten a chance to do anything, to do any further research on that. But when I saw this, I said to myself, my feeling around diversity is that we are kind of the original diverse group, right? African Americans led the charge in landmark legislation such as the Civil Rights Act. And from these initiatives really came other groups that felt like, oh, I need to be included too, right? The ADA, when you look at the history of how the ADA was passed, they were working hand in hand with the Black Panther Party. The Black Panther Party was almost giving them the formula, hand in glove, to explain to them how to get legislation passed when you're fighting for their group. And that's why we have the ADA and much of the legislation that came afterward. And it's because folks look to African Americans, folks look to the Black community to be the premier leader when it comes to diversity and inclusion. What we used to call affirmative action, what we used to call our quota systems and our set-aside programs, what we used to call our minority set-asides, whatever you want to call them, it has always originated with Black. And so when I saw that, I felt like we should be really present and really leading a charge there. And maybe we also are using that conference as an opportunity to, share that we are here and that we're a group and make a big recruitment effort around it. I don't know, but the thought of having a conference like that and us not having a major footprint there is the sentiment that's kind of driving me a little bonkers. So I hope that there maybe within our events committee, maybe Kenji, this is something that you can take on to really sort of lead our efforts for this particular upcoming event. It's coming up in December. We can use this as an opportunity to, maybe get our first sponsorship. I don't know, but hopefully we can be present and continue to lead the way when it comes to diversity. I want to also talk about so then there was also a note about a micro-credential that's being created. Again, the thought of, folks creating a micro-credential without input from the Black group is kind of driving me crazy. So I'm like, oh, we need to be submitting content. The content there that I saw was Elizabeth Frank. If anybody is familiar with Elizabeth, the name that comes to mind for me right now is Cleonia, because you are such a badass. And I feel like you might already be connected with the learning experience group and maybe could help organize some efforts around just making sure that we are contributing to this credential in a way that is substantial. And then the thing that I don't have on here is some kind of maybe a finance committee. And I think earlier, right, in our roles, I mentioned treasurer, and it made me realize we probably should have some thought around just if there's anything that we need to pay for. For instance, if we're talking about doing something at the diversity conference, making sure that everybody can get out there. I know that Amy was saying like there might be some folks there that would sponsor an engagement if we wanted to host a get together or whatever it was. Maybe there's a finance committee that could support just putting together budgets for initiatives that we want to do, and then also making sure that we're connecting with any sponsors or any other revenue streams that can help us make things happen. And then I know that I think that our calls are scheduled for the second Wednesday. So I have a tentative date for our next call as being November 10th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully that time works for everyone. If that time works, then that'll be the time for our next call. And on that next call, we would want the subcommittees that have been formed to come back and present what you've put together. So let us know who all of your members are. Let us know whether you've renamed yourself. Let us know what your mission is, your 4 to 5 sentence description. And let us know if you need help with any of your initiatives. I think that's it. I'm going to try and upload this video on YouTube so that y'all can see it. And I'll be on WhatsApp and I'll be on Slack. I can always be on Slack internationally. And once I actually land in London, I can check in to make sure that if anybody needs anything, I am, there to serve. But hopefully I can see everybody on another call coming up soon. Maybe the social committee will put something together. Maybe, I don't know. I'll see you all soon.